Kyle here from allmeatreviews.blogspot.com. So, second thing to do today is to talk about the Hours documentary that was shared. I want to say it was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. Today's Monday, February 28th, the last day of February of 2022. And it's it's like 52 minutes. I think it's something like that. Documentary. It's called In the Making of Hours and Jimmy and Echo specifically. The making of their self-titled album that came out last year. And I actually will admit, I went back and revisited my review of this album just to kind of refresh my memory because I haven't listened to it that much since. I listened to it for about a week and a half. I was listening to it a lot. And then I just kind of got and moved on, and I always wanted, I felt like I needed to go back to it. I did. Now I'm thinking of going back to it now, especially because I bought a ticket to see them in St. Paul. It's less than 2 months from now, on April, I think it's April 13th. The week before my wife and I are going to Madison, Wisconsin to see Mickey Dolenz do the Monkey Celebration. But, so just getting on, it's a 52-minute documentary. It's great to see an actual documentary made about Hours. I mean, I suppose it could be something that would normally be included with like a special or extended or limited edition of a CD or a box set or something like that. Seeing the sort of state of Hours, the state of the process of them, how they made this album, and really was the process of making their last three albums, Bally the Boxer 1 and New Age Heroin. And I'll say that it's, yeah, I mean, some of the songs kind of, you hear kind of where they went with some of them. You meet the band, of course. You talk about how he talked about how he wrote over 100 songs. I mean, that's the thing. And we knew that. As an Hours fan, we've known that for years, that there were a lot of songs, even before this album was, even before the trilogy of albums were made, that he had, like, he'd played live but he kept on writing more and more. But it is a little different, and you learn more as a fan a bit. And so I haven't seen them, I think 2018, was it? I think it was. Maybe it was just Jimmy. Maybe Jimmy just by himself. Was it 2019? Anyway, I haven't seen them in a while, and my last memory of seeing them, we had Static as the guitarist and some other people. You kind of learn and meet the band, although it's sort of by committee in a lot of ways. Other than April Bauer, there's a couple different drummers, different singers. Hannah DeGrand, I think her name is. It's interesting. Let's see if she's on here. Echo Wing, of course. That's the studio that he records at. Hannah, because I started following her and he mentioned her. Well, it's one of the songs I remember. April, actually, he borrowed a lyric from her on "You Are the Answer," because he mentions how there's a song that she had written with that lyric, and he's like, that would be great for a song that I'm working on. And I think her name is DeGrand. I could be wrong. I mean, I'm thinking of Bryce DeGrand. God, yeah, her name would have to be on here. Jason Corsaro. It talks about Jason Corsaro passed away, unfortunately. He was engineering it, and he had cancer. That was really sad when we found out that he'd passed away. It was someone Jimmy had a really good working relationship with, I guess, in the process of making this. I don't see her name on this. Anyway, she's on here, I think. Hannah, not DeGrand, it's Jernand, my bad. Hannah Jernand. The thing that's about her, so she sings on Echo and some other songs, I think. He is working on her solo album or something like that. And Jimmy might be singing on it. He's playing on it, or he produced it or something like that. As far as I'm aware, like a lot of the members that are in the documentary for the self-titled Hours album in the making were in a band, and they might have been from the School of Rock at one point. I know Jimmy had a relationship with, he was involved with the School of Rock to an extent in New Jersey or somewhere. He lives in New Jersey, maybe in New York City. Because he actually did an online interview years ago with John Anderson, of all people, of Yes, or formerly of Yes. who was also doing stuff with School of Rock, so they kind of exchanged sort of stories and experiences. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the thing is, when I see them, if I get a chance to talk to some of the band members other than April, maybe I'll ask them. It's like, were you guys in the School of Rock? I can't remember, but this Hannah Jernand, yeah, she's got a really good voice, and I'm really interested to see what that album's gonna be like. But the documentary, it covers like, there's 17 songs on here, as you can see, as I showed in the review last year, almost a year ago. It probably covers about maybe 2/3 of it. Unfortunately, my number one track, Get That Feeling, wasn't even brought up, but what can you do, you know? Beggars can't be choosers. And From Where You Are, I don't think there was much either. It's weird. They used some songs from some of the other records, the Valley the Boxer and New Age Heroin, and there's like one or two unreleased actually in the documentary. Just they were playing clips and they showed the credits at the end. But yeah, I mean, I've seen interviews and videos with Jimmy in the last couple of years at least, so it's not like I haven't seen him in different forms of media. He's been on social media, thankfully, on Instagram. He's the reason actually I joined Instagram, because he was starting to post stuff on there, and I wouldn't see it on Twitter, and I wouldn't see it on Facebook at all. So I was like, well, if I want to actually get that information, I may as well just sign up, even though I don't even have a smartphone. But this was, pretty in depth. I mean, pretty in depth with a bunch of these songs, and I wish you could get more of these. I mean, a lot of bands do them, but the problem I have is that they do them, you do see them, and then that's like the only time I ever watch them. I don't know, in 5 years I'll go back and watch, In the Making. I don't know. But yeah, it was great to see more of the whole background on how this record was made. I mean, my feelings of it are about the same. It finished number 2 on my Albums of the Year list in 2021. Kind of don't know if it would be quite that high, because there's a lot of it I love, and I want to revisit it for the show, but there's still a lot of it that I sort of feel like, in the process of listening to 17 songs, it's a bit much. But I think some of these songs are growers. Bring It On... Is it Bring It On? Lose Yourself... Oh, I'm thinking of one of the others, because they do a section. They don't do a lot about Across the Clouds either. That's another one of my favorites. But, no, Bring It On's from another album. There's a lot of... Oh, yeah, it is. Bring It On. Bring It On, there's a lot. I think I might appreciate that track a little more. There's some distortion in the vocals and everything. But, I mean, it's kind of an intense song, but seeing how they made it, and they were like... I guess what Jimmy said was there was... It went through many different phases of the kind of song it was going to be. So... Actually, I'd love to hear the different alternate versions or demos just to compare, because some of the documentary shows a little bit of that. So it could have been a slow track. It could have been, even heavier, faster than it turned out. So anyway, I'll have to share the link to the doc. It's on YouTube, In the Making, I believe it is, of the self-titled Hours album. It does kind of leave me wondering, after this whole thing, and he released the 2 EPs with this album in 2021. What is next for Hours? He had all this. He has a lot of. There was some solo record for Jimmy he has at least written, if not recorded, a lot of music for as well. I know that may be his next thing, but for Hours itself, I don't know. I mean, it's weird. You compare this record to the other 2 records, and there's a different sort of difference in sort of the style, because the previous record, New Age Heroin, was a lot of slower ballads. A lot of it. It was a lot more acoustic. This was more electric, more rock generally as a whole. So I don't know. That's a question. If I get a chance to talk to him at the show in April, I'll have to do that. But again, thank you for watching. Like I said, what's your take on In the Making by Hours? And we'll see you next time.